In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to cut this underbust sheer shirt with box pleating. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. So to start, here is my pattern, and I've gone ahead to mark out my shoulder to bust, underbust and waistline. Next is to mark your shoulder divided by 2 and I'll add half. Now my shoulder is 14 divided by 2, I have 7, and I'll add extra half inch for joining allowance. I'll come down by 1 inch from that point and I'll mark a basic neckline of 3 inches by 1 for the back pattern. So I'm going to start drafting from the back pattern and I'll go ahead to connect the neckline. After connecting the neckline, you want to connect from the neckline towards the shoulder. Your shoulder slants. The next step is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. I'll make a point there and I'll go ahead to connect. Now, if you look at this shirt, you feel it's a cut together shirt, but a closer look at it, you notice it's not a cut together shirt. Now, place your shoulder divided by 2 on the chest line and mark. After marking, place your ruler and you're going to connect all the way to the upper part of your pattern. The next step you're going to take is to go ahead to divide it into 2. Come out by ½ inch here. Now place your tape and you're going to mark your bust round circumference divided by 4. Connect this all the way up and connect from that midpoint to your bust round circumference divided by 4 at this point. Now after marking this, you're going to insert your body measurement, but when marking, you're going to add ease to this shirt because it's not a fitted dress. So your ease can be 1 inch to 2 inches. It shouldn't be something that much. Mark your round bust circumference divided by 4. Now you can decide how much ease you want to add. So let's say we're adding between 1 inch to 1.5 and add ½ inch for stitching up allowance. Now we don't need our underbust measurement for a shirt. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4 and I'll add a sewing allowance. Then add ease. My ease, I'm using 1.5. For the sewing allowance, I'm using ½ inch. Now you can use 1 inch for your ease or 2 inches depending on how free you want it to be. If you take a closer look at the shirt, you will notice that that shared part is not directly on the underbust. So you can come down by 1.5 inches after your underbust. And you're going to mark that line. You're going to mark it out straight. Now be our new underbust for this measurement. If you take a closer look at the shirt gown, you notice at the lower part, you notice that the sheer effect started underneath the waistline. So you can add additional 1.5 to 2 inches. Then go ahead to place your ruler and extend your measurement from the underbust all the way down to the waistline. Now go ahead to use my marker to underline that part. Go ahead to cut out this pattern, right? You cut out the upper part and the lower part separately. I'll also use this pattern to trace out for the front part of my dress. From the lower part of this dress, we have a sheer effect. So when you're making a dress that has a sheer effect, you're going to add extra inches to it. So add extra 5 inches to this part of your measurement. So if you notice here, that's why I drew out a straight line coming from the underbust to the waist. So I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out. You will use this to cut both for the front and the back pattern. For the upper part of this dress that has a button allowance, go ahead to add a button allowance of 1 inch to it. Now going to increase the neckline to that of 3 by 3 inches, which is a standard neckline, and I'll connect. Before connecting, I'll fold in my button allowance so that whatever I cut out will align or be in a straight line when I open it up. So I'll just go ahead and cut this part out, and this is what I have. Now if you feel the neckline depth is much, use 2.5 inches for the depth of your shirt neck. This is another fabric underneath your dress and we are going to cut a facing. So for this facing, I used 6 inches and I later reduced it to 3 inches, right? This is because of the style of the upper part of the neckline of this shirt. Now you're going to use a facing to do this, and I'm using about 5 inches. I cut out 6 inches before, but I'll reduce it to 5 inches. Go ahead to trace out the neckline, and you're going to be cutting this out. So just like I said, I cut out 6 inches before and I reduced it to 5 inches. So you're going to cut out a facing for your shirt. You're going to take your facing and you place it on your shirt. You're going to be turning the neckline together. But before turning it together, you have to add your collar to it and then turn it, that part. So now for your collar, you need to measure what you'll be using. So from what I have here, I have about 6.5. So you can minus like 1.5 or 2 inches so that you can have that overlapping effect at the front part of your dress. So now let's go ahead to cut out the collar. So I'll just do a freehand sketch. So let's say that I'm taking out 2 inches. You know, this part now will, you fold it up this way. That is, one side of the shirt will overlap one side of the other one. You fold it from your button allowance to the upper one. Now measure what you have left. Now I forgot to mention that you also measure that of the back neckline of this dress. So for a standard back neckline is about 3.5 inches. Now add that 3.5 to the 5 inches measurement you have 8 inches, right? So I'll just go ahead to mark out something like this and create like a slanted effect. So for the height of your collar, you can use something that is about 3.5 inches or 4, because the collar on that dress is a bit long. So you have something like this and you'll be attaching it. Now you're going to start attaching it right from that minus 2 inches you took out. Now when you now attach it, it will now form the collar of this dress. You know how it was attached. So after attaching it, you now iron it. It will now stand this way, creating that notched neckline collar effect. You can now go ahead to place the neckline in between the facing and the main fabric to give you a clean base. Now for this part at the front, you notice that there is a design there. So you're just going to create something like a pleat, fold it in this way, and then go in and create another pleat on it. After creating that pleat, you're going to measure at least about 1 inch or 1.5. That will be looking like a button allowance, right? Let's say we are using 1 inch, then you fold this again. Now you take this and you top stitch it at the front part and then add button to it and then join it to the upper part of this dress. So after cutting this out, you're going to now add the lower part. Remember, you're going to shear this part so it will become smaller. Now I'm going to explain how to like create a box pleating. Now let's say this is your fabric. You're going to add this box pleating to the lower part of your dress. You're going to fold it out this way. Now whatever depth you're using to fold one side is what you use and fold the next box pleating. So you fold this way. Now take the measurement you have here. If it's about 2 inches, the next one you're going to fold out is going to be about 2 inches. That way it will now create that pleat in between the two folds. Now go ahead also to measure what you have in between that point, and from here to here is 6.5. I'll measure 6.5 also and then create another pleat. This is like an easier way to create your box pleating if you don't want to go ahead to start calculating before going ahead to cut it out, right? So you just do this and you notice that you have like a box effect on the dress. Now you'll be cutting out 2 layers. One will be the shorter one and one will be the longer one. Place the shorter one on top, then join to your dress.